It's 15 minutes after 10, and we have 8 members present. We have Mr. Alicon, Mr. Fuhrer, Mr. Holden, Ms. Sikowski, Mr. Ridley Thomas, Mr. Savornich, Mr. Walters. We have 8 members present. We need 2 per quorum, Sergeant. Fuhrer just went out. Yeah. Is it on the agenda today? Okay. Call the roll.
Alicona, Latorre, Bernson, Schick, Fuhrer, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Ridley Thomas, Svornich, Wax, Walters, Ferraro. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, the council will please come to order. This is a meeting of the City Council for the City of Los Angeles on the 6th day of May, 1998. There are 15 council districts in the city. The regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. The first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Savornich moves, Mrs. Waller second. If there's no objection, unanimous vote. The next item.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
If there's no objection, unanimous vote. The next item.
Next item, Mr. President, items noticed for public hearing, items 1 through 12.
Okay, is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on items 1 through 12? We have somebody who wants to be heard on 8. We'll call that special. We have, let me, first of all, the ones that to be continued. Item 5 is to be continued 30 days. Is there any objections to that? Seeing none, the matter is continued. Item 9 is to be continued until July 22nd. Any objections to that? Seeing none, that will be the order. Item number 24 is to be continued 1 week. If there's no...
It's to continue to May 15th.
Can be continued until May 15th. There's no objection. That will be the order. And that's all the ones that will be continued. So we have 1 through 9, 1 through 12, and we have a card on 8. Anybody else want to be heard? 10 we should call that special. That should be taken up at the same time as number 19 is taken up, so we'll call that special. So, if there are no other specials by council members, prepare the roll on 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 11, and 12. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Those are approved. Next items.
Next item, Mr. President, items number for which public hearings have been held, items 13 through 21 and 34.
They have been held.
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. Are there any specials by council members? 13 through 21 and 34. Huh? Mr. Holden, I can't hear you. Since when have you so quiet that I can't hear you?
I was waiting for you to ask me.
I did. I said any specials.
Oh, yeah, 22, Mr. President.
22 is called special. Any other specials? 34 is, we'll call that special too. Any others?
No, Jeff, you need to continue 34.
Item 34, move to be continued until Tuesday. There are no objections, that'll be the order. Okay, we have 13 through 21 with the exception of 19 and 22. And 24 has already been, well, 24 is the next item. Okay. Prepare the roll on those. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
We'll keep the ordinances on 13 and 15 on the desk because they need 12 members. Those are, others are approved. The next item,
Next item, Mr. President, items for which public hearings have not been held, items 22 through 31.
okay, we have somebody that wants to be heard on 22 and 28. We'll call those special. 22 and 30 and 28. Mr. Anyone else, anyone want to be heard on any of the other items? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any specials? 26 and 31. Any others? And you called 22 special, right, Mr. Holden?
Mr. President, for purposes of introduction,
Any other specials? If not, prepare the roll on 23, 25, 27, 29, 30. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Those are approved. Mr. Hernandez for
yeah,
introduction.
Mr. President, members of the council, it's my pleasure today to introduce to you some of the students from Arroyo Seco Magnet School. They'll please stand up. They're here visiting City Hall.
You get her fill a card out.
And I just wanted to point out that as we were talking yesterday about our cultural diversity, there's 14 different cultures being represented by that particular class. And we wanted to also recognize their teacher. This is an English journalism class, and we thank Mr. Rene Ledesma for bringing him to City Hall and giving him an opportunity to see how we work, especially on the day that we'll be dealing with Proposition K and parks and open space for young people in the city of Los Angeles. I also want to point out that Mr. Ledesma's son, Andy Ledesma, apparently has one of the main murals being exhibited at the Gene Autry Museum as part of Culture and Cultura, how it was that the War of 1848 changed the city. And so again, congratulations, Mr. Ledesma, congratulations, students from Arroyo Seco Bank, and welcome to City Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Forthwith on 30? Okay. Mr. Alarcon,
Mr. President, I'd like to move reconsideration of item number 1 on yesterday's agenda for the purpose of continuing that matter for 60 days.
yeah, that is in my district, and is there any objections to reconsideration of item 1 on yesterday's agenda? Seeing none, the matter is reconsidered, and Mr. Alarcon moves it to be continued 60 days. There's no objections, that will be the order. You got that, Marie? Okay. Also, my understanding, there's someone who wants to be heard on item 4 on today's agenda, and they didn't know the procedure. So we'll reconsider that for the purpose of allowing a public hearing. Is it Bridget Sherman? Would you take the center microphone? Fourteenth forthwith. Go ahead, miss.
Yeah, I'm protesting this proposed assessment on a property at 517 North Harvard Boulevard. The city of Los Angeles sent out some people to board up our house, and in the process they smashed every window in the place. They did all kinds of destruction. They threw everything out of the house, and we had been working on the property constantly, and now we're being charged for this $3,600, and I object to it.
You said the city broke all the windows?
They sent a crew out to do that, and we had the place boarded up already. It was already boarded up, but they sent somebody out.
Okay, well, let's hear from the department on this.
Yes, President Ferraro, my name is Angel Calvo, Department of Building and Safety. This building, it was a house, it was vacant and vandalized. They had made attempts to secure it, but they had only boarded up some of the exits. The only way, sir, to properly barricade the building is that we have to cover it up with plywood, and as part of that process, they have to actually knock out the windows and put bolts through the windows and through the wood covering the windows. So that is the only way to secure it, is to, when we do the board up, it does cause damage to the windows.
Were they notified to do the work?
Absolutely, sir, and we gave them more than ample opportunities to do that, and they never did the work. If they would have done the work themselves, it wouldn't have caused the damage that that happened to the windows.
Do you want to respond to that?
The house was boarded up prior to their coming there. Nobody had come into that house and touched a thing, not one thing.
Did you get a notice to do some work there?
We were working on it. We had permits on the place. We had put in a new driveway, new walkway. We had put in all new electrical, all new paint inside and out, repaired the walls and the ceilings, new roof, everything. We had done an enormous amount of work. And they came out and undid the work for us. They smashed every window. Let me show you. Here is, if you want to see, this is a pin. This is all they had to do. They're all beautiful French windows. All they had to do was to take these two pins out. There was no need. I had restored all these windows. It took me months to do it, an awful lot of work. They had, because they're beautiful windows, and I didn't want to change them.
Okay.
And,
Okay, well, let's continue this, and would you just talk this with those people, and then we'll take this up a little later. Thank you, Mrs. Sheridan.
Okay.
Okay. The next item.
Next item, Mr. President, number 8. You have a card on it, and we have a request to continue it for 30 days.
Number 8, there's a request to continue 40 days?
30 days.
30 days. Mr. Hall, you want to be heard? They're gonna move the continues for 30 days.
They've discussed that matter with me, and I have no objection to moving it 30 days.
Okay. All right, then, if there's no objections, Mrs. Walters moves the matters continued 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burnson, we acted on 12. Was there a motion on 12? You were to submit a report. Is that report, Maria, the report on 12, is it the one that we adopted?
Just to adopt the report of the
Planning,
planning committee.
yeah. And that's what, is that what we did?
There were some, I believe there were a couple of additional conditions were added to that off the top of my head without having the report in front of me, but that was resolved. There was an agreement as to the new conditions, so what happened was the appeal was granted in part, plus the new conditions.
Okay.
And that was the unanimous
Well, we-
action of the planning
we-
committee.
We have taken action on that, so the matter is approved. Next item.
Next item, item number 10 and number 19, considered together.
All right, Mr. Holden, Mr. Ridley Thomas, 10 and 19, is there any problems with those? They should be acted on together?
In fact, also if that's CD5, I think they should all move forward.
And CD6?
Yeah, and CD6.
Okay.
Let's
then
do it. It
there's
affects all this,
there-
yeah.
There's a motion to approve 10 and 19. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote. Those are approved. Next item. Forthwith on those. Next item.
Next item, number 22, you have a card, and it's called special by Councilmember Holden.
Okay. We have some people want to be heard on this, Mr. Holden. It's a public hearing item. Patricia Bell, Nita Rosenfeld, and Sue Curran.
Good morning, council members. I'm Patricia Bell Hurst. On your Prop K ballot and its multiple ordinances, it does not stipulate or make provision for waiving of matching funds for the covering of bond debt service. I ask this council to give serious review to the bonding, the selection of items, and the process as listed in item number 9 and number 12 on page 11 of today's agenda. I ask for no waiving of debt service on Prop K bonding. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ferrero. Nita Rosenfeld, I have one question to ask on the agenda, which is under number 9A, and that is to see the EIR projects that were done on the projects for Prop K for kids. I have not seen any EIRs, and I was wondering when they would be out so we could see them before they're approved.
Okay. We'll have somebody respond to that a little later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sue Curran.
Good morning. I have some very serious concerns regarding bonding, but primarily I strongly feel that the number one criteria for bonding should be need, areas that need park space. I ask this council to give serious consideration in regards to bonding for park space. Thank you.
Okay, those are all the cards we have, so the public hearing is closed. Mr. Holden, would you...
Yeah, Mr. President, Proposition K, I think, was approved for 10 years, was it? 25 years? And the amount of monies that would be coming in would be fixed. And if you're going to take early in the ball game a portion of the fixed amount of money that you're going to receive and give it to some middleman to sell some bonds, that's monies that would not be available for projects. Unless down the road you intend to find it someplace else. I think when the people voted for this measure, they had the understanding that all of the money, it was a close vote, you know, all of the monies would be used for specific projects. In fact, you've discussed monies for matching funds as well. If you're going to eliminate that matching, then you get less. And if you're going to think you can get more by bonding and paying some middle guy some percentage to sell the bonds, it just doesn't make much sense to me. And really, it really circumvents the program as it was previously presented to the voters. So, Mr. Deet, maybe you can explain to us. I just, you know, I'm supporting Proposition K because you got 50% plus something of the vote wasn't a killer, but the fact of the matter is that the majority did vote for it. I mean, how can you even suggest or recommend that we don't adhere to the program?
Two things. The election was a
The
landslide.
election plan, period.
This does conform to the proposition. What this does is that the bonding or the borrowing would be such that the amount of money for that would from Prop K would be limited to the 3% inflationary rate that was provided for in Prop K, and the criteria used thus far is that the matching funds would be the amount of money that would be over and above what was in the Prop K project, and that Prop K Prop K assessment district funds, and therefore Prop K would be held harmless.
You're saying, but you're going to eliminate the matching in this motion. That's what we're doing. You should know that, Mr. Deaton.
Which motion is that?
In this report, you eliminated the requirement for matching funds.
What's the action is for council to direct us to come back with the possibility of waiving the matching monies on individual projects, criteria for that to be considered. However, the waiving of that matching fund would not be waiving it with Prop K monies. It would have to be waiving it with general fund monies or other sources of funds other than Prop K, because Prop K couldn't be used for the waiving of the.
You couldn't be used as the other part.
No.
Well,
that would not be consistent.
That's not implied here.
Well, that's clearly the situation. In committee, what was discussed was the possibility that the general fund or other sources.
Well, my time is
funds,
up, but Mr. Deaton, from an administrative point of view, it caused me some concern for you to take a fixed amount of money, predicted income, and now you're going to bond it and cause some middle guy to make some money, which is going to cut, in the end, the number of projects that we can develop. It really does. I mean, I like to have known about it before, but I think we're getting a little skewed here in terms of management with the money, people's money.
Ms. Goldberg?
Just a question. If this list is passed today and subsequent to today, one or more projects doesn't make it, is there a process within the same district to substitute for within the same district funds?
Yes, and also what we're going to do is come back in June for the final listing that will go on the assessment roll for 98, 99.
Because I have one project which deadlines are getting very close.
Right, and there's several other projects that have to, in order to be provided for in 98, 99 in the assessment district, environmental clearances have to be accomplished by June 2nd. Those that are not will have to be reprogrammed no matter which district they're in, and that's, we plan on doing that, and we'll be back before the council in June to make that final determination.
I just wanted to make sure, because if this goes, this is fine with us, but you don't
Right.
want to.
No, we have modifications to be made in June depending on the outcome of certain environmental
Okay,
clearances.
thank you very much.
Members of the council, there are two other people that wanted to be heard on this, and so if you do not object, we'll have Randy Young and then Eric Edmonds speak.
My name is Randy Young. I'm speaking for the Pacific Palisades Community Council. We just urge you to pass this because it's extremely important to get this bonding in, especially on a couple of important parcels within the Palisades that will benefit the whole community. So I thank you very much, and please vote for it.
Okay. Eric Edmonds?
Thank you, sir. My name is Eric Edmonds with Save Our Mountains Incorporated, and we urge your support for this valuable measure and for bonding in general. We believe this is the best way to maximize the benefits intended by the voters under Proposition K. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Walters, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask Mr. Deaton if there's any money in this for the Children's Museum.
There's a $75,000 for environmental work, $100,000, excuse me, for environmental work The project...
100 or 400?
100. The project, hence, the environmental work would have to be done next fiscal year, and the earliest that that project could be approved or not approved would be in the 2000 fiscal year. In other words,
Environmental work for what?
for a proposed Griffith Park facility.
That's the $10 million that they
Right.
had requested.
Right.
And what percent of the entire monies is $10 million?
Depending on the entire,
Well, for the first and second years, what was the amount of money that was previously allocated? And they requested $10 million out of that. Was it 25 million or something? They were requesting 10 of the 25?
well, let me, in some perspective, there's $143 million in the proposal in the entire 30 years for competitive grants. They represent 10 of that, they would represent 10 of that. In any one fiscal year, there's $25 million worth of funds that come in. If you funded that all out of 1 year, it would obviously be 10 out of 25. If you bonded, then you would have a situation where the $10 million would be a debt service of about $1 million a year. So that would be a statement to that effect of that amount. No dollar amounts have been provided for in the future for either the Children's Museum, the zoo, or the observatory.
All right. Well, it seems to me, I'm not aware that the council has passed a policy that says that it's amenable to moving the Children's Museum from downtown to the parking lot at Griffith Park, the zoo parking lot at Griffith Park. That has not been a matter before the council, and I question whether or not it's appropriate then because it seems to me that that's a real policy issue. And it seems to me inappropriate for it to be listed in here for EIR work on something that has not been before the council.
Two things. One, I agree with you, the basic policy issue of moving that, or building another children's museum in Griffith Park per se has not been before the council. In the last Prop K proposal that came through on the 5-year plan, the EIR money was included and was highlighted as Children's Museum as looking at to see if, from an EIR standpoint, was it feasible to do so in any event, whether or not the parking and the mitigation of the area could be accomplished if the council so chose to, in fact, fund the program not next fiscal year, but the earliest out of Prop K would be the following fiscal year. And as in prior reports we've indicated, in order to do that, you probably would have to bond for it because it would take too much out of any one fiscal year's amount. So.
Well, I think my time is up, but I think the basic question of whether the council is going to approve this should be before the council before we spend anything.
All right, Ms. Misakowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to congratulate and thank a number of people who worked on this very, very intensively. We have a joint report from the Ad Hoc Committee and the Arts, Health, and Humanity Committee. As you can see from the detail of this report, they handled, as well as the citizens handling, in terms of the neighborhood organizing committees, the VNOCs, the regional committees, an incredible amount of requests for competitive grant money, distribution from throughout the city, and recognition. In fact, I was just rereading an article that appeared in late April in the Times from one of the chairs of the Neighborhood Organizing Committee, talking about a whirlwind participation of citizen involvement in a 10-day period. Committees analyzing and having to prioritize more than 180 projects worth $400 million to line up for a $20 million expenditure in the next 5 years. They came to grips with that, and I think our committees have come to grips with it very well. recognizing, as I think some of my colleagues have suggested, that there are some projects potentially out there that are a lot larger in terms of the magnitude of the dollars. If we look on the per year expenditure, any one large project would take up essentially the majority of that expenditure for that year, whether it's year 1 or year 16 or year 20. The capability of bonding, which has been addressed on a very minimum level for a minimum participation, allows the multiple neighborhood projects to continue going on the absolute allocation of the competitive grants, but allows some ability to figure out whether or not there is available money to help leverage through bonding purchase of some of the larger projects that are on the list for regional value, regional purpose throughout the city. The matching funds is still a criteria. If it is waived on an individual basis, if the criteria is set up by the committee coming back to the council, it will have to be met by other leveraged funds. There's possibility of using Prop A to leverage a matching grant. There's possibility of private funding. There's the possibility of using even block grant in some areas to pay the bonding cost to get the major infusion of funds. What this report does today is does not commit us to any project or any spending of any projects on bonding, but sets in place a further review so that in the next 30 days, after the analysis by the staff and by the committee, they can come back with a reasonable proposal that would have to be approved by this council.
Mr. President, members of the council, it took a lot for us to get here. And when we're finished with all the approvals, not only of Prop K, but also dealing with Prop 2A and so forth, I think Mr. Deaton said that we should recognize that as a city council, we're looking at the potential expenditure of $150 million for open space, recreation centers, basically facilities that deal with youth. And I'm saying that because that's monumental, and as you can see, we don't see the TV cameras of the reporters here. When I introduced the children from Arroyo Seco Magnet School, the reality is I went and talked to the teacher, and he said, we got 2 spaces we're looking at that we need you to talk to. And basically, the city of Los Angeles has recognized a long time ago that we needed more park space, more recreation space for our youth in the city of Los Angeles. I think the voters have recognized that with support of initiatives on an ongoing basis, whether it was Prop A or Prop 2A or Prop K. And the realities are they have continued to vote for it. Now, I'm trying to put in perspective the reality that this process in the creation of space for young people takes many steps. And today is monumental because we're actually at a step where we get to vote to start spending some of that money, at least for 97, 98. And the reality is a plan for 5 years, a plan that still is flexible enough for changes. What I need you to understand is that when we dealt with issues like the LA Sports Arena, or we deal with issues of other development projects in Hollywood, we're very creative in looking at tax increments for purposes of the reality of matches to subsidize and make those projects happen. But when we look at issues like the Children's Museum, the zoo, or we look at issues like a park with a recreation center that allows for children to go to a graduation ceremony, we don't think that way. And this initiative is going to provide us with that kind of flexibility. When we talk about a match, we're dealing with the issue of equity. Where should these locations be when you talk about the needs of youth and youth growing up in poverty? We're dealing with the issue of reality for the city of Los Angeles in an area that we've been lacking. The participants, and Mr. President, I know my time's almost up, but the participants in this process were not only citizen review committees, it was the Commission on Children, Youth, and Their Families, it was the Cultural Affairs Department, it was basically the Department of Recs and Parks, the Library Department, as well as our city engineer, our CAO's office, and our CLA's office, and a lot of council scrutiny. So I just ask for unanimous vote. It's in that right direction, It's in the direction that says we as a city care about our children. And a lot of work has gone into getting us to this point, and I'm sure that work will continue. To see a park actually happen is not the easiest thing in the world in the city of Los Angeles. And again, I just want to commend everybody who's taken these steps. I've been asking a lot of difficult questions, as many of us have, but the reality is I'm asking for a unanimous vote at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, and I should point out to the students that are here today that you were instrumental in getting that on the ballot, and we want to thank you because... Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to join with Mr. Hernandez in asking for unanimous support for what's before us today. Mr. Hernandez and I spent hours and hours in committee hearings reviewing and revising recommendations that were presented to us on how to assure some of the key principles that have already been discussed today. Not only securing space for our kids in which to play, an open space in this city, but doing so in a way, as Mr. Hernandez just indicated, that reflects real equity in the city. This has been a team process. Ms. Goldberg introduced a motion with Mr. Hernandez, I believe, several months ago, that would assure that we look at our park space in a comprehensive way rather than in isolation from one another. And that has enabled us to revisit the issue of how other funds could be allocated in the context of Prop K. That's before us, to devote funds to high-need areas in a way that really makes sense for the first time, I think, in a long time in this city. One of the issues that's been discussed, some of our speakers from the public have discussed, is bonding. I want to make clear, as we're going through the ad hoc committee's review of what our debt policy should be in the city, the bonding at stake here has no impact on the city's debt ratio. It was contemplated in the proposition in the first place. It has no impact on the debt ratio. But what does it do? It enables us to acquire land at a less expensive cost now. It enables us to accelerate the process to assure that park space is available sooner rather than later so that the children who are children today can actually enjoy these parks while they are still kids. It enables us to focus on that principle I've mentioned already and Mr. Hernandez referred to, and that is the principle of equity. Let's accelerate and bring parks to spaces where kids have nothing meaningful to do at the moment. This is a good package. It's a balanced package. As has been mentioned, there is the possibility of waiving a requirement of a local match for the bonded projects. That will again underscore the fact that this is not, the bonding process is not just for rich communities, it's for all communities. Unanimous support for this proposal, given the refinement that's been made in the recommendations, makes sense, and I urge we adopt it today. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bernson.
Question's already been asked. I think Mrs. Walters asked the question about the Children's Museum, and you indicated there was $100,000 for that. Is that what there was? Oh, turn your mic on. Only for the environmental work is what
Not
you said.
for the actual approval of the project would be, before a project, any project can be approved, environmental clearance has to be obtained. That has not been the case with the Children's Museum. The earliest that that project could be approved in Prop K would be in the year 99-2000.
So they would have to wait until the environmental document is complete. But that funding was taken care of so they can get started on the project. Is that correct?
Only the environmental piece. That's the extent of it.
But that's all it would have been normally under the circumstances, or what?
Unless they had completed the environmental work
Could they not have included it in the bond measure and that be held in a special fund till the environmental clearance took place?
No.
Why not?
Because you cannot put a project on the assessment district unless there's environmental clearance.
I see.
In other words, no more than that amount of money is legal under the assessment law.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Mr. Holden.
I understand that project was not chosen by the committee. It was selected by you, Mr. Deaton, the Children's Museum.
Selected by me?
Yeah, to go on the list.
I think that I made the motion in the steering committee to add the project for environmental clearance, yes. But as I recall, it was approved by the steering committee and by Arts, Health, and Humanities Committee and by the Ad hoc Committee on Children's, Youth, and Families and by the City Council, as well as...
I understand it was not approved by the regional committee.
That's correct.
Right, so then you went ahead and did it anyway. But that's okay. On the motion, Mr. President, I like that we separate the question. After all, Proposition K passed with less than 1% of the vote. And I think you all have to know that. Huh? 66? No. Proposition K did not get 66. It got 50 point something. So let's understand that. And the tax-paying citizens were concerned about how you were going to spend their money, Mr. Deed, and others, number one. Number two is that if you keep bonding Proposition K projects, these kids will be grandkids before they pay off the debt. So you can get the money, but the question is, and it was kind of shaky how they got it, but you got to pay, and whether or not they're spending it the right way, and that's why I raised the question. And that's why I like to separate the question. I will vote to levy the fee, but on the bond, floating the bond, I'm not prepared to do that. If you're going to make it one motion, then I will have to vote no on both. Or is that possible, Mr. Deedy?
That's possible, Mr. Holden. The whole bonding issue, just so you're aware, you're not authorizing bonding. You're
I understand.
authorizing
I
us
don't even
looking-
want to go forward right now until I have more discussion on that.
You're asking us to come back with the mechanics to do that and the potential projects to do that, et cetera, and the criteria.
And the projects that is associated with that's
Right.
going to be bonded.
The potential.
The potential for bonding. And that's what I'm saying. These kids who are, we all for kids who are applauding, they got to understand they're going to be not their grandparents, not their parents, but in 25 years from now, you will still be paying on this project. And I'm going to tell you one other thing. You're going to get 8 votes around this table, this horseshoe here, are going to amend it over again, and they're going to sneak another item on the ballot and saying, let's not sunset it in 25 years, but let's keep it going. You don't know how they operate. I work with them every day. And I'm telling you that my time is still here, Mr. Did I use it all up?
Yeah, the time, Mr. Holden, I think you've said enough.
I think we separate the question. If you do that, I'll vote
Okay.
aye on what.
Okay, let's, Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, I think it should be made clear that there is nothing that is going on here that's going to be slipped over across the voters. It was on the ballot. It was in a bona fide election. People voted for it, and we are attempting to implement that which is essential to the quality of life of communities throughout Los Angeles, namely to get these parks in shape so that people who want to enjoy open space, families who want to occupy context where in fact they can do recreational activities in a safe, fun-like environment that looks attractive rather than the conditions in which some of the parks throughout the city currently look like. So I'm of the straightforward opinion that we should move forward without delay. There is nothing here that I see that hasn't been discussed over and over again. Some would say ad nauseum. People in communities throughout this city await beautiful parks. We can do it. We should do it. Now, there are those who have opposed Prop K from the beginning, and they ought to acknowledge that. They behaved as obstructionists then, they continue to do so now, and that ought to be made clear. And those who want to wear that title, we'd be glad to bestow it upon them. But for the balance of us, we should move forward to do the right thing for the citizens, the residents of Los Angeles, and for the park staff, for those of us who simply want to do what we think needs to be done for families who want to have open space, green space, and opportunities for recreational play.
Members of the council, well, now it's working. Mrs. Chick?
Yes, I understand that I've missed part of this debate, but I do want to point out, following up from my colleague, Mr. Ridley Thomas, in the West San Fernando Valley, as I've mentioned before, we have right now, as we speak, a struggle between baseball and soccer between girls softball and Little League. There are people all over the city and all of our neighborhoods who want to have places for their children to play and facilities to improve the quality of life sooner rather than later. So I'm very eager to see this move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Alarcon.
You know, it's really interesting. The answer, Mr. Holden, is absolutely. In terms of ultimately, these young people are going to pay for this by way of their taxes. But I think they know that if they're not going to pay for this, that they're going to have to pay for the problems of gang violence that grow because we don't take this action today. And they're going to have to pay for the problems of drug activity that is going on at the parks that do exist today. And they're going to have to pay for all the troubles because we are not taking care of our young people today. The 4 projects that are going to happen in my council district, each and every one of them impacts a problem with gang violence in the communities of Pacoima, in the communities of Sun Valley, and in the communities of North Hills. We're trying to build a new park in North Hills. We're trying to build a computer education center at the Boys and Girls Club in Pacoima. We're trying to build an arts center for kids along a corridor that is terrorized by the violent boys in Sun Valley. And so I think these young people, they may not understand when you talk about bonding, and they may not understand when you talk about taxes because they don't realize that they're actually paying those taxes today. But ultimately, what they do understand is that they don't get enough from the city of Los Angeles in terms of rec and parks, and they want more because they know that's a good investment in their future, and it's a good investment to preserve the quality of life and to improve the quality of life in the city of Los Angeles. So I want to commend all the people. I have to commend all the committee work that was done, especially the work of the community, because several of the projects that we've described emerged right from the community, and they worked on designing them, working on them, describing them in a way that is right for their community. So we have to applaud not only the voters who appreciate this investment into our Recreation and Parks program, but also the committees that worked hard to design this project in a way that it conforms to the community's preferences. I especially want to take my hat off to Councilmember Hernandez, who had spearheaded this endeavor early on, recognizing those same values of investment now or pay later.
Mr. Wax.
Mr. Fuhrer, I wanted to add, I think you answered one of the questions I was going to originally ask, but you may already, but I may want you to elaborate. You made reference to the fact that the indebtedness here would not affect the broader city indebtedness issue we're facing. Could you just elaborate for that?
And Mr. Deaton can feel free to elaborate. It doesn't affect the debt ratio. There's a guaranteed funding stream. It was contemplated in the bond measure in the first place, so it doesn't impact the debt ratio, which focuses on the city's general fund being the basis on which you pay off the debt over the long term. Mr. Deaton, Mr. Grant, any further elaboration on that?
That's correct.
The debt ratio remains exactly the same whether we do it or not.
This has no impact whatsoever.
Right. Okay, that was one of the questions. I can't even imagine we're debating the merits of whether we should have. That debate was had and voters voted by 2/3 vote, or majority vote, but it was actually much more than, majority vote.
Much more, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's a little.
Don't exaggerate.
But we had that debate, and I think that all of us recognize the importance of the projects themselves. My concern is not whether we have the projects. I think that we have good projects. There are more that are needed than we don't even have all the ones we need. My concerns remain the one, and we won't resolve that today, that these projects get done on time, that they not drag out, that they not be like all the other projects we've seen. We've had bonds for police projects, department projects, we've had bonds for libraries, and we watch the money sort of fritter away as extra years go by, as it takes longer to do them, as we run into administrative and legal hang-ups. You know, the need to have a constant oversight, the same kind of oversight that has brought us to a list through the process we have, a new oversight has to remain over the actual construction of these projects. Otherwise, experience just shows me how easy it is for these to get delayed to the point where they're not feasible, where there's not enough money, where they take too long, where all the hang-ups come. And Mr. Deaton, would you, and this is a question we asked in the beginning, we're talking about, for example, departments that have had histories already of finding it difficult to construct the projects that they have had money for on time. We talked about that when we first put this on the ballot. Can you tell me what mechanism will be put into place which will assure that we will not repeat the past mistakes, that these will stay on time, that these will come in on cost, that these will happen as promised, so that we don't repeat the same kinds of mistakes we've made both in Rec and Parks and other departments in the past? Do they have the staff to do this? Do we have an oversight committee? Is someone in charge?
Answer the question,
who will be
Joe.
accountable?
Let them answer the question. Your time is up.
The steering
I think it's something we should all know.
No, the steering committee has met at least 10 or 15 times this year to go over not only the development of this plan, but at every meeting, we go over the status of every project. We have been back to council, this is the third time, to change the projects that are within this fiscal year, because for some reason or another, one project gets delayed, and we eliminate it, and we put another project in its place. At the conclusion of this fiscal year, every project that is being suggested here will have a contract in place. Money will be allocated, and construction will have begun either the end of this fiscal year or the beginning of early in next fiscal year on every project that was in this original year. What we have done and the reason for the 5-year program is to allow the flexibility that when there is any delays for any reason, a certain project cannot be completed or the progress is being delayed, that we can shift to another project and get that moving and get that under construction. We are monitoring every project, every meeting we have. Rec and Parks or whatever department is responsible for the project reports to the steering committee on its progress. We ensure either the city administrative office, myself, or the city engineer, in order to facilitate the approval or any hang-ups that are happening in the city government to get these projects done. We are committed to doing exactly what you're saying. And that's the reason for the 5-year program. It's the reason for the activity that we've done, and I believe that you will see the results as we progress through the next fiscal year.
Okay.
Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, again, one of the things I wanted to point out, and Mr. Holden has asked that we separate the question in regards to the bonding. I don't have a problem with that. But I wanted to point out that one of the things our bond expert told us from the CAO's office is it will ensure the inflationary rate we took into account of 3% in terms of the funding. And you need to understand that that's a reality, because this is a 25-year assessment. We talked about $750 million. That really, in today's dollars, ends up being about $433 billion, something like around that figure. So this will ensure that 3% inflation ratio that we included in the bond measure by ensuring those fundings are available at today's rates. And again, it doesn't affect our bond status. I wanted to take a little time to talk about major projects and particularly about the Children's Museum, because I know that we as a council have not taken a position on that project. What I do want you to know is that the board of directors of the Children's Museum did take a position on Proposition K. They were very supportive of it. They donated money. They were some of the few at a time when nobody else was participating in this process, and I wanted to recognize that they were involved with Proposition K from the very beginning. When we talk about providing the environmental monies, the reality is a lot of these large ticket projects, whether it be the Los Angeles Zoo, the observatory, an independent project, because again, the Children's Museum is not under the preview of the city, they basically need funding mechanisms to make their projects happen. And they can look at a cash flow, but they can become more creative as to make them happen than maybe we as a public sector can. I also wanted to point out that we have been looking at other alternative uses of space at the LA Mall, and the reality is, if it was the Children's Museum was to evolve, we're talking about a project that would evolve on city land in terms of Griffith Park. So we as a council have plenty of opportunities to review those concepts and where it makes a lot more sense. I'm asking for a united vote on this issue, because I think that it's a positive. And for whatever reasons, we as council members need to understand that by the time these grand openings really happen, many of us aren't going to be there. And any delays that we provide in regards to developing that space is delays for the people who need to use them. And so again, I think that this is a positive for all of us. The door is open for projects. In terms of the bonded projects, if you have a project that you'd like to include in future years, because now that becomes a priority, that can happen. Nothing is being excluded in this process, but we are creating the mechanism to allow it to happen.
Goldberg?
Yes, I'm not sure where I am on the bonding issue, but I understand the action we're taking today is only to look into the question, and I'm more than willing to do that. I've heard actually good arguments today and before today on both sides, and would need to know a lot more about it. But I would want to make just one comment to Mr. Holden about trying to encourage young people to be cynical. I really think that cynicism is not a good thing for us to be preaching to young folks. Skepticism is one thing, but cynicism is quite another. To tell people that you work with us and that we and others are going to sneak things in on them invites them to think that they should not be interested in government, that they should not aspire to be in government themselves, that they should not aspire to be elected officials, because all elected officials are sneaky, and we're going to sneak stuff and put it over on them. And I really, as a high school teacher, think that we should be encouraging optimism and not cynicism, with a healthy amount of skepticism. Of course, there are reasons to look closely and be informed, but I would just urge you young folks to consider seriously being in public service and being in government. It is a noble profession and one that serves the community.
Ms. Misakowski?
Point of personal privilege, Mr. President.
Mr. Holden, you can speak when you press your button.
On a point of personal privilege,
you don't get any personal privilege today.
Oh, but that's appropriate.
Yeah. What is your personal privilege, Mr. Holden?
I have an opportunity. I should have a right by Robert's Rule of Order to respond.
I don't think there's
nothing in Robert's
You don't employ. They're not employed here.
Mr. Holden,
That's what I
you
was
call
just
this special. We've been on it about 30 minutes now. It should have been gone through without a discussion.
Well, you
and
can't say
I'd like
that,
to
Mr. President.
we have other things on the agenda today
understand,
that
Mr.
I have to worry about. You don't.
Mr. President, that's what we have a democratic process for.
All right, Mrs. Misakowski, you have the floor.
Maybe I was right.
I move the previous question.
Maybe I was right. They want to shut you up.
All right. Mr. Misakowski's moved the previous question. Prepare the roll on the previous question. That's good. Tabulate the vote. Yeah, the previous question is passed. I'm disappointed in you, Mr. Holden. If anybody has a right to be disappointed, I do. All right, prepare the roll on item 20.
Item number 22.
Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, the ordinance goes over 1 week. Okay, we have two other ordinances, or the three?
Yes, Mr. President, item number 13 and 15.
Okay, prepare the roll on those ordinances. Tabulate the vote. Those are approved. What is your point?
1 week?
Yes.
I shouldn't leave the room then because you might switch the vote.
Yeah. You got to move reconsideration if you want to leave the room.
I left the room before someone else moved reconsideration. It was sneaky.
Yeah.
It was sneaky.
No.
And they got
it
the deal.
It wasn't sneaky. It was clever. It was clever. Could we have those ordinances are approved now? Could we have item 4?
Mr. President, not only was it clever, but it was the right thing to do.
You're certainly your style is blunt. On item number 4, you had an opportunity to discuss the assessment, the charge against them.
Yes, Mr. President. I discussed it with the property owners. In light of the fact that they are trying to rehab the property and put it in a livable condition, the department would be willing to support waiving of the administrative fee and only assessing them the actual cost that the city incurred.
All right, Mrs. Walters moves on that. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved as amended. Okay, the next item.
Next item, Mr. President, number 26, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden, did you call 26 special? You don't remember? You called so many.
Yes, Mr. President. And I'd like to have a few questions answered. They're going to resell or prove their reselling of $40 million in bond.
John Malloy, are you going to come up here?
I just want those students to hear all of this because they're learning.
Yeah, the ones you're telling government cynical, Mr. Holden? Okay, what are your questions?
I can give you some examples. Well, the fact of the matter is you're going to sell $40 million worth of bond. You get back $800,000 to the various districts 1, 8, 9, 10, and 14, and 15. My question is, how do you apportion $800,000 that you expect to save, and how you
There's
plan
a
to
motion.
use it?
There's a motion to delete District 10 in this, Mr. Holden.
Well, that'll just be 14 council districts. That's all right. Then we'll start our own city. But go ahead.
No, the District 10 from item 26.
First of all, I want to make it clear that this is not an issuance of new debt. We're going to refund previous bond issues that have already been issued in order to take advantage of favorable market conditions. The apportionment of savings will be in proportion to the size of the original bonds. And so the savings will accrue to each bond issue, and therefore each council district in proportion to the size of that original bond. So if you had a larger original bond in your particular district, then it will receive a larger portion of the savings. If you have a small bond, it'll get a smaller portion.
Okay, I know in Normandy 5, I got one project in Normandy 5.
$800,000 a year.
I have one project in Normandy 5, and my question is, how do you decide what portion goes into the district? In the newest projects, I think that at Weston and Adams, that project, that's in the so-called Normandy 5 area.
Yeah, if we achieve a savings, if we go to the market and can actually get these bonds refunded in order to achieve a savings, each former bond issue will have to spend less on debt service for the previous bond issue. That will create some new revenues, which will then be apportioned to projects in that particular district in the normal fashion. And that is, we'll talk to the project area committee, we'll bring the project forward to the redevelopment commission, and ultimately the city council will review what project is selected for financing through those savings.
All right. So bond financing for the purpose of someone who doesn't understand it. Would you explain it so the kids will understand it also?
Well, it's like financing a house or a car.
CRA for development.
It's like financing a house or a car. If you don't have sufficient funds this year to pay for what in essence is a major item of expenditure, you borrow against future income, and that's exactly what we've done in order to finance major projects in each of those project areas.
Anyone else want to be heard on item 26? If not, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
Ayes.
That is approved. I thought we had a card on 28. Is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard on 28? Anybody want to be heard on 28? If not, prepare the roll on 28. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item, number 31, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden. Item 28.
I didn't call it 28.
Item 31. Item 31.
Well, I was going to move the previous question, but no, I have to have a report before I speak. Mr. President, the question that I'm concerned about is that we're going to use $180,000 from the Neighborhood Advocacy Council program, the safety plan, that was to be used for the safety plan. And we're going to use that money and send some kids back to Washington, which is perhaps okay. But then what happens to the safety plan? And on this LA Bridges program. This is the LA Bridges program is for a certain number of junior high schools, middle schools within the city of Los Angeles, including one in Mount Vernon in my district, where obviously they don't appear to be having too much success in developing a plan to work for the youth that are at risk, which I told you was going to happen in the first place. So would you explain to us now why the money is not being spent for the safety plan, why it has not been spent, number one, and why is this money available to be used for some other purpose?
Gloria Stevenson Clark from the Community Development Department. I am reporting on the LA Bridges Program Neighborhood Advocacy Councils that have been queried about their willingness to participate in this program and also the status of their safety plan. Each NAC was responsible to develop a safety plan. Those safety plans were due in March. We have reviewed many of those, and they've been discussed at the NAC meetings. But one of the difficulties has been in getting the full participation of youth who would be willing to participate.
May I just ask you one simple question?
Yes, sir.
Are those safety plans available for you right now, done, complete, yes or no?
We have the plans. Most of them will be implemented starting July 1
Weren't they
with the
supposed to be
new funds.
implemented? Weren't they scheduled to be implemented already?
There was no deadline as to when they had to be implemented. They were scheduled to be submitted.
Submitted?
And the funds were available for the way that the NACs chose to use them. We provided them this opportunity through information that we received from the Commission on Children, Youth, and Their Families that this opportunity would be available this year. And many of them felt that this would be a good augmentation to their safety plan because it would train the youth in terms of civic education and be able to come back and participate in the full implementation of the plan. So the plans are available. 3 agencies
Okay,
out of...
on my 30 minutes that I have left, 30 seconds, I'll just simply state that your story has changed, that you told me that the plans were not, they could not implement it, and the monies that they were unable to spend during this fiscal year, for whatever reason, they were unable to spend the money. So therefore, rather than the money go back, you're going to send these kids off to Washington, which is okay, but then you should say that for the record.
Well, most of the agencies, the nature of their plans, they will not be possible to spend it
That's
before
right.
June 15th.
Then say it.
And they also feel that it would be more advantageous to train the youth before they start the implementation. So both of those points are correct.
All right.
All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Mr. President, all of us appreciate that LA Bridges is a startup program. It is essentially an effort to provide the schools, the nonprofit organization, the community, and the homes from which many of the youngsters at 26 schools throughout the city of Los Angeles are a part. And we wish to move this forward because this is essentially another opportunity to provide youth at risk a chance to be exposed to experiences that they would otherwise not have. And so, Mr. President, members of the council, I think this matter is before us because we wanted to enlist your support in supporting young people from schools in each of our districts, an opportunity through a bona fide means of support and tracking that is the LA Bridges program to experience a visit to Washington. It has implications for youth leadership, and apropos to the comments earlier before, it seems to me this is quite the thing to do in order to communicate to young people throughout the city that we are prepared to invest in them and their futures, and here's such an opportunity to do so.
Mr. Wax.
Basically, in answer to Mr. Holden, you're using unspent money because the money for which it had originally been intended is not able to be spent in this year.
Most of the items that were, yes,
Okay.
the items in the plan.
And I certainly, now, next year, you will be able to spend it on the NACs, safety
We
plans.
will be able to spend it, however, the plan can include this item as well. So this is not as if it's a
Do
different...
do the NAC safety plan that you will be approving, that have been submitted to you,
Right.
include this as a component of them?
They are all different. I really wouldn't be able to say, but some of the agencies in their regular budgets, in their consortia budgets, have already set aside funds for field trips. Many of them are able to support this through that and are sending additional students in that way. So,
First of all, the nature of this expenditure, this is a fantastic. I really support this. If the program is really solid, an experience like this can have tremendous meaning for a young person who goes to Washington and really participates in something for their country and their government. I mean, I think that there's incredible value in experiences like that for young people. This is going to be spread across the city in all of the areas that are participating in the LA Bridges plan.
well, 3 have chosen not to participate at this time, but they will have another opportunity as in the
My
4
concern
years to
is,
come.
I guess you're making an equation, though, that this is a more important way to spend the money than the way that you had originally budgeted for, and you're saying that, in fact, what you had originally contemplated could encompass this, and it's really up to each of the areas to sort of choose how they best want to spend that money.
Right. I think the best way to explain it is that the Close-Up Foundation designed the program specifically to support the LA Bridges program, and this was not known at the time that most of the agencies developed their safety plan. Once they did find out about it, they felt that this was a good way to begin, to get the cadre of youth involved and to get them trained before they actually start the implementation.
Especially if this works well, next year will come along very soon, and people will be saying, hey, I want my kids to go, and we're going. So I think you have to be already contemplating, weighing the effectiveness of this trip so that we make sure that it's really what we hope it will be, and then B, thinking of the fact that it next year will come sooner than later, and people will be wanting to make the trips again with a new group of kids.
We believe so.
Next year will come next year. Mrs. Chick.
Yes. You said several schools have opted not to participate?
3 of the 25, right.
And all of the rest then are choosing or asking students who want to go?
Yes.
The only other question is, because this sounds like a very good program, especially in terms of creating new leadership and giving leadership skills to our youth, what kind of connection might be made or will be made between this experience and the service providers within LA Bridges, so that after our young people come back from this experience, the providers might be able to incorporate some of what they learned and build on that?
Yes, I'd like to ask Ms. Huff to explain a little bit about the way the training has been set up to accomplish that.
Thank you. This is Pat Huff, CDD. Councilwoman, there's a very important element of the plan where the Close-Up Foundation has linked our young people with congressional leaders that deal with national safety. So our young people will interact with these leaders. They'll be talking about various techniques on the national level, what's happening with regard to safety, and it'll be like the program we used to have called Each One, Teach One. These young people will get this information on a national level and come back to their respective communities and implement what they've learned about safety. One of the things that we've talked about, Councilwoman, is that when they come back, that they would like to debrief with you to talk about what they've learned nationally and how to implement what they've learned locally. The exciting thing about that is that we will have developed youth leadership such that they'll come back and be engaged in the neighborhood advocacy process.
And be working at their own LA Bridges program, helping to create the safety plans.
Right.
That's great.
We want them to be very closely involved with the
I like very much the idea of their interacting with us, and in fact, you've just given me an idea in terms of a Public Safety Committee hearing where I would like to have the delegates come back and present their ideas, because we're talking about public safety for all of our communities in our city.
And if I could add one other element, we have 3 principals that have chosen to go and about 16 teachers who will be attending.
Okay, see, that's the kind of link up I'm looking for. That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else want to be heard? If not, prepare the roll. Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, I think it's an excellent opportunity for these youngsters to go off to Washington. It would be experience they would gather there that they would not otherwise have an opportunity to learn and know about. I also suggested that maybe try Sacramento or even bringing them here to City Hall. But I think that at least to visit, at least with 14 members, 15 members too. But the fact of the matter is that I think when you're discussing using the monies for a project that was not originally conceived when LA Bridges was brought before the council, causes questions to be raised and answers to be provided. Now, I know in my district where I was really concerned about Mount Vernon Junior High School, the program is not working as we thought it would work. And so it's not fully implemented. And so therefore, to put the cards on the table, the money has not been spent as planned. Therefore, we're going to use it to send these kids back to Washington. Fine. That's this year. And Mr. Wax has already raised the question, if it's a good program, what about next year? And when do you plan to incorporate it, if all, into the LA Bridges program? And will it be Sacramento next time? Will it be LA? Will it be Washington next time? Because once the kids are there, they're going to come back, and as you expect, they will talk about it. And other kids will want to go next year. Are we prepared to do that? And I would submit to you that I don't think that's not in the cards as we speak today.
I believe we have sufficient funds in the budget if the budget is maintained at the level. Okay. If the budget is maintained
She can look at me.
as it has been this year, we believe that we can set aside the sufficient funds to ensure that the program continues each year.
All right, then we expect this to be a part of the program while
Yes.
the program is in effect.
Yes, sir.
I will support that.
Okay, prepare the roll on 31. Tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that item. Next item,
This is the time for comments from the public on non-agenda items.
okay, we have Richard Robinson.
Mr. President, members of council, the elected City Charter Reform Commission meets tonight at Water and Power, 111 West. Pardon me, public speaking is, I should be reading my notes. The elected City Charter Reform Commission meets tonight at Water and Power, 111 North Hope Street in the Conference Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to be heard on public comment? Seeing none, the public comment period is closed. The next item,
Next item, Mr. President, number 32 and 33 are closed session items.
okay, we're going to go into executive session. All those not involved with the executive session, please leave the council chamber. We want to thank the young students for being here today. We hope you enjoyed your visit, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Just remember, in a few years, you could be sitting here, putting up with a guy like Nate Holden. Yeah, I know. Do we have any adjourning motions? I have two. They're getting a little long. Let's, okay, we're back in open session. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 33A, you have a motion to approve the settlement in the amount of $125,000.
Okay, prepare the roll on that. Tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item is 33B. You have a motion to approve settlement in the amount of $1,850,000.
Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 eyes, 2 noes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, motions for posting and referral.
There's no objections, unanimous vote.
That clears the desk, Mr. President.
Okay, we have some adjourning motions. Would everyone please stand? Would everyone please stand? Mr. Alarcon?
Yes, I have two adjourning motions. First, John Katsoukas is the father of Mike Katsoukas, who runs Dimian's restaurant in Sun Valley. He passed away of cancer in Greece, and he leaves his wife, his two sons, Mike and Bill, his daughters, Stella and Eleni, 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. I also have an adjourning motion for a lifelong friend of my father, Furman Ortega. Furman died, passed away from a heart attack at age 77. He was a retired hod carrier in the construction field and a member of Local 300. His wife is, he leaves his wife Mary, his son George, daughters Rose, Kathy, and Rita, 17 grandchildren, 15 great-grandchildren, 3 brothers and sisters, and he was also a very good friend of mine over the years, and a very, he encouraged me quite a bit. You know, we talk about some of our mentors in terms of the leading players, but you know, sometimes we are compelled to do what we do because of people who push us from behind, and Furman is one of those people who serves as the model of that I try to work hard to for those who fought for our country and are struggling, their future generations are struggling. It's people like Furman Ortega that keep me going to try and ensure that we get back on the right track.
Ms. Galanter.
I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of James Barner, who was a resident of Venice. He was 86 years old when he passed away yesterday. He was, obviously, a lot of this was before my time, but he's been around and active in Venice affairs for many years. He was a founding member of the Boys and Girls Club, of the Chamber of Commerce, the Lions Club, and the Masonic Lodge. He worked for Douglas Aircraft during World War II, and part of his job was to deliver secret plane parts for the government. Unfortunately, he's survived by no relatives at all, but his friend Rose Murdoch was kind enough to tell me about this.
Any others? Called. Mr. Holden wants to be recorded as a no vote, which is typical on 33A, B. Call the roll on the adjourning.
Just won't quit.
All right, the council is adjourned.